Hey atheists, I have a question. So I just made this beautiful meal, right? Could you honestly say this meal cooked itself? Doesn't have a chef? How could you think that this universe, which is so much more complex and so much more intricate, could possibly be made without a creator? How does that work?
And the answer is functional complexity in this universe is not only done with intelligence, but also with natural selection. Okay. So, Lily, now my question to you, okay, you made a question. I just answered. So, according to the evidence we have, what I'm saying now is just what I come up with from my head. If you see in the universe, you will realize, according to evidence, that functional complexity is not only done by intelligence, but it's also done by natural selection. Okay, so that was the answer of your question. Now, now is my turn. Eh? So, Lily, if God made the universe, why he waited 14 billion years for cosmic evolution to work, and he didn't make the universe immediately? Why? Also, why in 99.9999999999999999999999999 1 hour of me saying 99999999% of the universe, life dies instantly? Why? Why God made so the universe so wasteful? It's almost, Lily, like the explanation is natural selection. Because what natural selection needs? It needs time and space. God doesn't need time, he doesn't need space. And yet, the evidence of the universe is vast time, unimaginable vast time and vast space, Lily. Okay, so that was just the kind of the answer that you could also find if you Google 5 minutes, Lily. Instead of making Lily, no, I don't want to sound chauvinistic. I want to say my darling. Sorry. Okay, my sweet young. No, let's go again. My dear young lady. Okay. That answer you could found if you Google 3 seconds. Okay. So instead of cooking, spending time to fix your hair for the camera and make a stupid video, why don't you Google at 3 seconds? Instead of less effort, more knowledge. So, but that was the simple answer. But of course, I have more things to say about that. I just need a couple of seconds to work. What was my? Okay, Lily. When you have some kind of food. Okay, and you make some effort to make this food, and you are a person. The only quality of the food you are making is not just functional complexity. Okay, what else does the food requires? It requires some effort. What kind of being? What's your name, Lily? What kind of being, Lily, can control all this universe? A conscious being having always existed inevitably with no explanation, just happened to exist. Hello, I just exist for eternity. How you exist? Just exist for eternity. Is that difficult to achieve? What is more difficult, to make a food or to exist for eternity? Okay, so I just exist for eternity. God. Okay? And yet I have all these convenient qualities to make a universe, but also I'm not complex. I cannot be undermined by anything. Because if God is using some kind of magic or a magic wand, that means he's not God. So God must do everything, but at the same time cannot be undermined by anything. So you know what is the analogy of that? You are asking someone to make 100 meters, to run 100 meters in 0 seconds. And by the way, let's cut him his feet. That is how difficult. It's the extreme end of improbability. To be able to do everything, at the same time cannot be undermined by anything. Yeah. So that questions are more difficult than the questions you are posing, which are silly, very easy. How the universe came to be with natural selection. That's how. Okay. Okay. We might not have the complete answer, but at least we can work with that. The other thing that you take for granted, a person just happened to exist forever. Hello, I just exist forever. With all these convenient qualities, can do 100 meters in 0 seconds. At the same time, let's cut him his feet. That is a more difficult problem than the one you are posing. And by the way, he happened to love Muhammad. Allahu Akbar, and he likes Arabs to conquer the world. Unimaginable bullshit. Ellie, what's your name? Lily. Unimaginable bullshit. And what you are expected to believe are magnitudes more difficult than a naturalist. What a naturalist has to believe? It has to believe that we already know from the Big Bang and how the galaxies are formed. We already know that. Natural selection. And then we already know how from galaxies we came to Earth. We already know that. Natural selection. We don't know how the first life came to be. How chemistry becomes biology, so we have a gap over there. After life came to be, we have evolution until human. So the only things we don't actually know are 3 things. Is what was before the Big Bang. That was the one we don't know. How life began. That's the second we don't know. And how consciousness came to be. That's the 3 questions. For the rest, we have all the answers. Okay, so it is a difficult problem, but comparing to what you are expected to believe, is a piece of cake to solve in comparison. Okay, so now it's a very wonderful opportunity to see whether this young lady has other questions for Atheists to answer.
Hey, atheists, I have a question.
Let me guess, the recipe for spaghetti with crabs. Astako makaronada, we call it in Greece. Let me guess. That is your question.
So you call religious people crazy for believing in miracles, right? But you believe in the most preposterous miracle of all, that the universe was created from nothing. It's impossible for something to come from nothing. How does that work?
So, atheists and theists agree the philosophical nothing never existed. The nothing you are referring to, in fact, the nothing atheists like Lawrence Krauss is referring to is the cosmological nothing. So there is two nothing. The one is the philosophical nothing, that, in other words, what stones dream, that kind of nothing. The other is the cosmological nothing, which in fact is something, is some kind of quantum field. Now, look, hear this, Lily. Okay, so we have something now that we all can see. Therefore, the philosophical nothing never existed. Okay, we both agree with that, in fact. So, now what we need to investigate, Lily Moo, is the initial essence, the fundamental reality, what that was. What is more probable? To always exist inevitably and being the fundamental essence that always existed. The simplest fundamental form that looks like empty space, okay, or the most complicated being imaginable. What is more probable to exist forever inevitably? The simplest fundamental form. The one is the simplest thing imaginable, so it's very easy to imagine it can exist, it existed forever. It's like empty space. So it's very easy to imagine empty space to exist forever. How easy is to imagine a being with all these convenient qualities, with all this implied complexity, just existing forever without explanation. So, to answer your question, you are referring to the philosophical nothing, Atheists referring to cosmological nothing. We both agree that something always existed. That's the answer to your question. Okay, let's go to your next video.
What if atheists are right and God isn't real? What if I spent my entire life believing this lie? If that's the case, what have I really lost? This lie encouraged me to live a life as a good moral person. This lie helped me to avoid cheating, lying and stealing. It helps me to fight depression, to have reliance on God's plan and free me from anxiety. It teaches me to treat my friends and family with kindness, respect and dignity, to not be selfish, to try and help others less privileged than me. This lie gave me purpose in life because I believe in something greater that is controlling everything. But atheists, if you're wrong and God is real, good luck.
Wow, what a very difficult argument. But, okay, you won this argument. Okay. I lost this argument, but at least I look better for the camera than you. I might have lost this argument, but at least I look better for the camera than you. Okay, so that is a very interesting philosophical question. Is what is preferable for well-being? Being ignorant and happy, or wise and sad? What is the right answer? Obviously, wise and sad. It's better for well-being, for very deep philosophical reason. Okay. And then you said, and you ended with a threat. And you said that what you have to lose. First of all, all that you said is not in fact Islam. Isn't that right? You're being moral, you're being that, you're being the other. No, you don't, in fact. Islam doesn't preach this stuff. But anyway, let's say all the things you said is true. That means that religion is instrumental. And because, okay, so let me tell you now what is the truth. Okay, so religion, it might not be true, but it has adaptive benefit. In other words, because we as humans, we evolved to recognize agency everywhere, and religion has been in our psychic are evolution for, I don't know, 200,000, I don't know how many years. Okay, so now nature Popo made, sorry guys, it's very late and my mind is okay. So nature made religion to become a kind of like a biological need. Okay, so the quality humans have are evolutionary trait. Our positive evolutionary trait is our mind, but the inevitable negative negative evolutionary trait is kind of dogma, religion. Okay, so it was kind of inevitable that because we humans have the mind to understand that we are going to die and all these kind of things, and we kind of separated ourselves from nature. Okay, and we are feeling lonely in the universe because we understand the universe, and the more we understand, the more in a sense we separate ourselves from nature. As to nature always balances itself. So to balance itself, it gave religion. So religion has adaptive benefit. That's what I'm trying to say. But the problem with religion is that although it gives some kind of comfort, psychological comfort, okay, it makes you deal with death more easily. Okay, we humans have the need to understand things. So it gives you silly explanations about things. If you read the Quran, it has nice explanations for 5-year-old kids, 6-year-old kids. You know, it talks about fairies, dragons, something like that. It's like angels, demons, 3, I don't know, dwarfs. Okay, so for 5-year-old children, it's kind of interesting. But seriously, if you are completely dumb, you see the nonsense in the Quran, and you don't have to think. You believe this nonsense. But of course, well-being is not just pleasure. Well-being is much more than pleasure. And now I don't have time, and my mind is on its edge. I literally feel pain, so I cannot now start another philosophical conversation of the nature of well-being. But believe me when I say, the question whether you should be happy and ignorant and a fool, or sad and wise, well-being is on this side. Sad and wise. Okay, so that is the answer. Yes, guys, I forgot to answer the most important. You ended what you said, and with, but what I have to lose? Nothing. But then you said, but what if Islam is true and we go to hell? The threat against atheists. Lily, there is not a chance in a tetrazekazillion Islam being true. Islam has the same chance being true as Lord of the Rings. No chance whatsoever. Yes, so that's the one. There is not even one chance in a tetrazekazillion. Islam is not just stupid. Okay, it's not just. Oh, God had something to say about that. Okay. Islam is not just stupid in levels of laughable, a comedy. Okay, the way Islam explains the universe is a comedy. So it's stupid, silly. Now it's God agrees with me. Is silly, shallow, totally shallow. Lily, Islam is so shallow. Okay, it compromises all morality for Arabs to conquer some land in some desert. That's how shallow is. Stupid, shallow, and on top of that, incredibly evil. I mean, 3 times. Lily, Islam is so evil that the only good evidence for Islam or for God existing is Islam is evil in magnitudes that you think, yeah, the devil exists. Guys, what I'm saying now, you think it's a joke, but at some point I found something that it was so unnecessarily evil one time and I said, that is very deep evil intelligence. And it overstates the Arabs. Imagine, guys, sometimes I recognize evil intelligence that overstates Arabs. And I said, maybe the devil exists and therefore God exists. Imagine, Islam is so evil, what's your name? That it's a good argument for the existence of God. Are you kidding me? Ellie. Lily. Sorry guys, it's 4 o'clock in the morning. So, Lily, Islam is silly in magnitudes that it makes the Red Riding Hood and the 12 Dwarfs, it makes it a documentary. So that's how silly it is. Okay, comparing to Islam, the Red Riding Hood and the 12 Dwarfs is a documentary. Okay, that's how silly. It's shallow, Ellie. Lily is so shallow. Okay, very shallow. And then it's unimaginably evil. So there is no chance Islam exists. And on top of that, Lily, I have disproven hell with 8 conclusive ways. One of these ways is enough to disprove hell. And I made a video like I'm doing right now, and I disproved hell. It disproved hell. And at the end, I stopped because I was tired. I could have done it another 3-4 times. What are you talking about? You seriously think, like my grandmother, just because you didn't read Ibn Tamir or Al-Bukhari, my Greek grandmother is now in hell. Ellie, I was watching yesterday some Muslims, the Jake, the Muslim metaphysician, and Daniel Hakikatsu, and they were discussing about what this scholar said, the other scholar, Ibn Tamir, Ibn Bloom, Al-Bukhari, the other Ibn Abbas, and essentially they implied that if you don't know all these people, you don't have a chance to have the good Aqidah, and without having the good Aqidah, you cannot go to heaven. Are you kidding me? So my grandmother, Greek, he doesn't even know Muhammad. Who is that? She will go to hell because she didn't read Ibn Tamir, Ibn Abbas, and what's her name? It's completely silly stuff. You really think that only Muslim, if Islam is true, Ellie, 90% of humanity is now in hell. 90% at the very least of humanity is now in hell. So that is okay, guys. Thank you very much. Although this response video is very, very silly. In fact, it is not. But I might keep it because it has some funny parts. Thank you very much.